Hey guys, Weekend57 again. So today I'm going to go over muscle memory. I talked in depth about sleep, diet, exercise. Actually, I wouldn't say in depth, but we scratched the surface. And I talked a bit about flow in my first video and how we can achieve that state of mind. So if you haven't watched the videos, I recommend you go back and watch them because I'm operating under the assumption that you have watched those videos and you've at least attempted to change something about your habits so that we can be more engaged and be more well equipped while doing our training. So this is the first real hands-on muscle memory video that I've done. So I'd like to start by setting the stage and getting ready with our creative map. So if you have a 1v1 creative map or something like that already set up that you load into that has all the stuff you would need, that's great. I'm going to sort of explain what I do and how I have mine set up. So as you can see, I got 2 spawn points. You don't even really need those, but 1 is usually pretty helpful. I've got a bunch of chests here. Half of them have 1 set of items in them. The other half have another set. So this half has a couple of infantry rifles and a pump and some traps, a grappler, and some clingers. And this one is just sort of like a duplicate. Let me get a better one. Just like lower rarity stuff. I also have the TAC SMG just because I updated this whenever the TAC came back out to try and get the hang of it. But yeah, just some basic stuff. I do like to have all of the traps available. Trap, launchpad, and campfire. And I do use clingers to destroy my builds after I've gotten to height limit. I keep the grappler just in case I want to get back up and try something if I have a thought. Or just get quickly over to the clinger spot. Because sometimes, you know, I'll occasionally run out of ammo with the infantry rifle when I'm really far away after having done like a straight line sort of sequence. Anyway, so that's the chest. That's the layout of the map. There's nothing else here because we build it while we are in the match. So these are the settings I have. I've got 20-minute rounds. I have obviously infinite ammo. And I guess it doesn't really matter what your health and shield is and stuff. Because this is more about just getting warm. So infinite resources, infinite ammo. Sweet, and then we'll start. So what I like to do is start by doing 90s for 5 to 10 minutes. Lately it's been about 10 minutes. In the past I've gone as long as an entire playground doing 90s before I do my full warm-up routine. So just do whatever 90s that you like to do and just sort of get sort of in the zone. You know, put some music on if you like to do that. Talk to some friends on Discord. And just get your fingers warm, because if your fingers are cold and you're trying to warm up, you're probably, number one, it may injure you, and you don't want to get tendonitis or develop any sort of injury related to that, to the hands, I mean. And also, it just gets you in that mindset of getting ready to warm up and just getting ready to play. It's something that we all know how to do. It may not be something that we use all the time and in every game, but it is a pretty fluid motion. It seems pretty natural. It comes naturally to me, at least, whenever I'm doing it, and I feel like I'm in the zone. And it's also just good practice for when we do need it in a certain game situation. So we do that for about 10 minutes, and then I like to do about 5 to 10 minutes of our, what I'd like to call new versus old mechanics. So I'll spend a couple minutes doing something new. For me, the thing that I've been doing is the Kosh Cone. If I had guns, that wouldn't have happened. Hold on, let me go get guns. So for example, I've been practicing the Kosh Cone for a bit. And that is, you know, just the 3-foot cone, but instead you just go here. However, I've also been practicing the variation. I don't need guns, I guess. Yeah, it's just the muscle memory's now not there because I don't have guns. It's so funny, man. I can't actually do it unless I have a gun. That's so hilarious. It's kind of convenient, I guess, that I screwed that up. So I'll just take these for now. So lately for my new build, I've been practicing that, where I put the wall through the cone. And then I do a cone jump, and I land on my ramp, and I start immediately into a double ramp right here, right? And so I would do that over and over again, if I was warm. Yeah, like I said. So I do this over and over again until ultimately I felt like I was comfortable enough, or if I was messing up enough to where I was like, oh wait, maybe it's time for me to start doing something else because my mind is now wandered away from the present moment and I'm thinking about other shit and I'm not paying attention to my builds. At that point I would go back to like an old build, right? So that would be like something that I'm working on right now. An old build would be something like maybe just a regular 3-foot cone, right? And you're just doing that for a bit. Maybe just editing through here. Or maybe it's also just another variation of 90s and you're doing 90s. Whoa. and you're maybe, let's say, putting a blocker or something. So just any sort of old build that you're comfortable doing, or maybe even, I'd actually rather it be a build that you're not comfortable doing. Something that you feel like you need to work on. Frequently what I'll do is I'll do some ramp edits. I've been working a lot on ramp edits lately. It's been sort of my weakness over the past couple of years playing this game. So I'll just do like, I don't know, maybe like 50 or 100 of a single type of edit. Another thing that I've been doing with ramps is rather than editing like this, it's kind of like the easy way to edit, right? Where you pull the top right corner and drag it back. Rather than doing that, I've been trying to just come straight across. And it's interesting for tunneling as well, because you can do this. Saves a good bit of mats if you're doing it correctly. Because if you pull it too close. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. So another, 5 to 10 minutes of new versus old builds, whatever you think that you need to work on, really, that should be your opportunity to work on that. And afterwards, we should only have a few minutes left. Sometimes we don't have any time left. But I like to make at least a couple minutes at the end just to get into tunneling. So just some straight tunnels, just get used to that pattern, get used to where your camera angle is. Maybe do some turns. And I'd like to work more on these tunnels, the ones that you see the EU guys doing a lot in particular, and some other pro players. Those are really interesting to me, but I haven't built the memory for it yet. So it's something that I'd like to work on in the future. So that is the first part of my warm-up. I do a 20-minute, usually this timer up here, where my cursor is. I don't know if you can even see it. Probably not. It's up in the top right corner. The game timer will have expired. The game will be over. You'll hear like the ding-ding or whatever the hell happens. And you're back to the hub. From there, what I do is I join an aim training map. Now, there's so many aim training maps out there, and you can obviously pick whatever one that you'd rather use. I like using Tito's, and I know this one is not current. It's because I don't spend a lot of time looking for maps. Once I find something that works, I just stick with it unless the guns just don't line up with what's in the game right now. So I've been using this one. I'm probably going to switch over to the new version of it pretty soon. I had somebody recommend it to me today, actually. I had no idea it even existed. So in these maps, what I'm looking to do is kind of isolate my playstyle and figure out what I need to be working on with my aim. And it seems kind of simple, but really what people will do, I think, in aim training maps is they'll just go in, get an AR, and just start doing like Kovacs. And it's like, that's great and all, but where are you actually working on your glaring weaknesses? Have you actually analyzed your play? Do you know what guns you normally pick up? Why aren't you using those guns? Like, I've found that for me at least, I hardly ever use an AR if I have an infantry rifle available, any variant, or any variant, excuse me. So I'll actually pick up an infantry rifle, I'll pick up a pump, and then I'll pick up an SMG. And a lot of the times I'm not even using the pump, maybe for just one exercise. So whenever I'm doing this aim training, what I like to actually do is if I had a grappler, that would be useful. 1 second here. Where is it? There we go. Oh, I didn't even know you could fly. What the hell? More you know. I like to start off over here. Just hit the long-range infantry rifle. And for me, I really care a lot about my single tap shot aim. And just using the SCAR on something like this isn't going to kind of compensate for the FOV loss that you experience when you're using an infantry rifle. It can be kind of jarring if you're not used to it. So I prefer spending time doing the long range and then the close range infantry rifle just to get used to that weird FOV. Getting used to flicking on it. The sensitivity is all going to match up and it's going to be fine. In terms of ADS. But the FOV change is really important, I think. A lot of people don't take that into consideration. I'll usually do a 50-50 split over here after this, or I'll do a little bit of infantry rifle up close. Because I think it's important to be able to hit your shots. Let's say you have an infantry rifle out in late game and you need to flick. Be comfortable, kind of getting dizzy with this FOV, because it can be kind of overwhelming if you're trying to use this gun. And then I'll switch over to the... That's the timer. I usually hit the timer before I do these and I'll go for a full minute. And then I switch to the SMG and just do some basic practice. And I don't use the SCAR just because it's a bit of a louder noise, and I have my volume turned up pretty loud, so I don't want to completely screw my ears up. So that's SMG and AR and infantry rifle training. Another thing that I really like to do is hit this flying target area. And I encourage anybody to do this. Just past the firing range for the ARs and the infantry rifles. I really love this flying target section. It's super useful, super unique. I didn't even realize that this was an option for training until I checked out this course about a month and a half ago. So yeah, that's a really good way to practice, especially for late game situations where people are blowing their launch pads and they're being complete morons and not using them to rotate earlier. Haha. Or doing high pads or something. Like if you're not doing a low pad, anyway, we're getting into some other shit. So afterwards, I'll come into do zombies, and really the goal should be to not go up any layers at all. Just stay on the same layer. Practice your edits. Practice your movement on one layer. There's no sense in going up. Like, these guys can't build up, you know? They're only effective on one flat layer. So I recommend just practicing utilizing a single layer and killing as many zombies as you can until you get overwhelmed, or eventually it's going to be pretty easy to do after the first couple times, maybe even the first time for a lot of players. And it's just more of like a warm-up exercise. And you can do, a lot of the time what I'll do is I will build up a bit and practice some more like jump shots and stuff. You know, where you're just over here. You're just doing random stuff, random edits, get the traps and stuff like that. Because there are traps at the start of this this circuit. And just drill a bunch of stuff, you know, get warm. This is the time where I find that I get the most ready for my whatever comes after my creative session, because I'm actually doing the movements that you would do in a normal game, albeit maybe a little bit less serious, a little bit less invested, but you're just getting those fingers warm with the edits, and that's what's important. So we move on from here. We're gonna do some tracking. That's pretty basic. You hit the tracking area. You just stand right in the middle over here, and it spawns zombies, and you just shoot them as they go around. I'm not gonna spend too much time on that. Get me out of here, for the love of God. I'll then come over here. I won't actually use a shotgun, funnily enough. I'll actually do a mix of infantry rifle and SMG here. Because really, like, when it comes down to it, you can practice your shotgun aim with using something other than a shotgun. You just don't ADS, right? The same deal. It's not as loud on your ears. You don't have to reload as often. Pretty nice. And you'll know if you hit the target or not, because, I mean, you know, just look with your eyes. You don't really even have to watch or listen for the sound. It'll be pretty apparent if you hit or not. If you're doing a flick, you can listen for the sound. As long as you're somewhat on target, you know, you can adjust that over time as you get your nerves to calm down in a tournament setting, for example. A lot of people will just do random jerky motions. Anyway, more off-topic stuff that's too in-depth. And then, in case we hadn't gotten our tunneling session in the previous creative, when we're doing our own island, we can tunnel here. And it's a good way to sort of practice it. And it also has, obviously has all these, you know, these guys here to shoot you. So that way you kind of stay on your toes and you really know when you've screwed up. So that is the training map for AIM that I like to do. I usually spend about 20 minutes on there, 15 or 20 minutes. So we're up to about 40 minutes now in terms of time played. And this is, we haven't even loaded into a single game yet, nor have we even thought about it because we're not warmed up. We're getting close, but we need to finish it off with an edit course just to make sure that we're fully in gear. Editing fast can be kind of straining on whatever your finger you use to edit. Personally, I use B with my thumb right above the space bar. So I have like half my thumb on B, half my thumb on space bar. And that's how I've done it since I can remember playing this game. But I'll find that if I don't warm up my edits at all, my thumb will actually get a little bit sore. If I'm just kind of like going really hard and like I'm really tense in a game or something like that. So it's better to just kind of get it out of the way in a no pressure situation. I've been using this edit course. I know it's probably outdated, but I don't really care. It works. It does what it needs to do. We don't need anything super fancy. Just need these double edits. And then we'll go into the ramp edits. And you should have this down at a certain point to where you can do this in your sleep. You can do it when you're talking to people. And it really does help. Just doing it one time a day really does help. And I know that 90s can be a bit of an issue on these edit courses. I don't really like doing them. I don't believe it's... maybe it's all in my head, man. Actually, I don't know. But I feel like it's a bit of an issue for me. Anyway. So that's the deal with this, right? We're just going to be doing all these edits. And what I like to do during my edit courses as well is challenge myself to put builds where there are none. So as you can see right there, I could have just edited all those walls and left it at that, but I put a ramp as well. And I put walls when there wasn't a wall. Just fill up the space. There's probably not going to be any empty space whenever you're box fighting in endgame, right? Or if there is, you're going to fill it immediately. So you might as well prepare yourself. And we want to not go too fast to where we're not precise. Just go fast enough to where you're comfortable, right? You don't want to push it, or else you're not going to get the benefits. Speed comes over time. It's not something you need to like worry super heavily about. Like if you miss an edit, like big deal. But if you're missing every single edit and it's slowing your time down, it's not efficient. It's better to edit slowly but more accurately. If you're not ready for the speed. The speed comes with repetition. That's the whole deal with muscle memory. The speed comes with repetition. And that's really what this video is all about. If you stick to this training schedule every day, and if you have to accelerate it, and because you only have 5 or 10 minutes, you know, just get into the first part of the training. You don't need to do your aim training. You don't need to do the edit course. But just getting your brain used to the movements and the motions of building is super important, and it does help. Because this is how guys do it. This is how they get to a super fast level of building, editing, and they're super proficient. And they're able to do this during endgames. You know, they get there because they've been practicing and they've been doing they're putting in the reps. Really, that's all it comes down to. There's only so much you can do with knowledge. Knowledge only gets you so far. At a certain point, you're gonna need this. You're gonna need your subconscious to be engaging in all of the, you know, commoditized behavior in the game. What I mean by commoditized is, it's everybody can do it. You know, there's nothing unique about being able to build and edit anymore. It's now not about that. What the game has really begun to evolve towards is full-on creative in the moment thinking. And if you're unable to do that because you're held back by not being able to build and edit at a high level, you know, you're just hurting yourself. Because the resources are there. And it's just, everybody knows how to do it. So whenever you, so that took about, what, 2.5 minutes, 3.5 minutes? And that brings us to about 45 minutes of warm-up. And from here, what I like to do is I go back into the lobby and I'll queue up either like a playground fill if I don't have a lot of time, and try and do a red versus blue, or maybe somebody else select Zone Wars and we'll do that. But if I do have some more time, I'll go into the moving Zone Wars bot. I use this one, the NA West bot. If there's a tournament, I will only play in the ones that I'm confident that I can get high points in, because that way I'm getting matched against players who are of high skill level, and it's essentially just free pro scrims for me for 4 hours that are instantaneous. I don't have to wait every 30 minutes to play in them, and I really like that. I really, really like that. So the cash cups are super nice if you're trying to train solos. Same for trios, but if you're playing at a lower level and you're only playing against lower level players, I recommend probably focusing more on Zone Wars. And that is my opinion from based in my experience and based in observations of other players who have succeeded in this game in competitive. We're kind of moving away from the BR practice. The BR is more of like an exhibition and a showcase of our skill rather than a way to practice the game. In my opinion, a way to practice the game would be doing end games over and over and over and over again and over again as quickly as possible, and that way is Zone Wars. So let me see if I left anything out here. Yeah, I did mention muscle memory leads to more free conscious thought during due to dumping commodities such as building onto our subconscious mind. See? So that way in the moment, rather than you having to think about how you're going to place your build and what you're going to do, you're already doing it. You're aware of what the goal is that you need to achieve, and your body is filling in the gaps of your thought for you, if that makes sense. Number two, another thing, 2 sleeps between training means your skills are deteriorating. So what I meant by writing that is, if you're taking a day off, you're getting worse at the game, period. It doesn't matter if you can only play for 3.5 minutes. Get on and play for 3.5 minutes and do a 90 to sky limit and then turn your computer off. At least you have that routine built in. At least you're strengthening those neural pathways in your brain. You don't want to just kind of like turn it off and let it stay off for 2 sleeps. 2 sleeps is in 1 full day of not playing and then you're back in. Obviously, there's going to be times where you're going to take breaks. I'm going to take like 10 days off in October. And it's just because I want to go home and visit my family. And, you know, people have lives and it's normal and that's fine. But just understand, if you have the ability to get on and play for 10 minutes and you're serious about this, get on and play for 10 minutes, period. And also don't push yourself more than your body can handle. If you're not there in terms of sleep, in terms of a good rhythm, in terms of good exercise and diet, in terms of good mentality, if you're too insecure and you're too anxious, don't push your body to the limit, man. Don't sit there and train for 7 hours straight. That's a waste of energy. Really, I think anything past 3 hours or 4 hours is kind of excessive. I think you should take a break at that point. Stand up, stretch your hands. There's plenty of good hand stretching videos by well-accomplished doctors that are on YouTube that you can look up and do some hand stretches, maybe take a break, take a breather, go for a walk, even if it's just a walk from upstairs to downstairs into the kitchen, say hello to whoever's in there. If nobody's in there, maybe grab a snack, get some water, because I'm sure you're not drinking enough water, and then go back up to your room or whatever. Just do something to where you're getting your body moving, getting away from the screen, resetting. You need to mentally reset, because you can get into a trap where you're sitting down and you're working on your muscle memory, but at a certain point your mind wanders. And as soon as your mind wanders, you're wasting your time. Plain and simple. And ultimately, this is all to get us to the flow state. And this is all super surface level stuff I'm talking about. It's not proprietary information by any means either. This isn't like some crazy secret that I have. I'm just breaking it down to you step by step so that you may be able to watch this video and try some of the things that I've laid out. Ideally, try everything and do it piece by piece every day until you've built this habit to where you get on, you know exactly what you're going to do. Like I do, I sit down, I play for 45 minutes, and I am fully warmed up, firing on all cylinders. My mind is right, my body is right. I'm ready to get in and actually practice, take notes. So next video, I'm actually going to be doing some stuff on self-analysis, and maybe I'll pair that in with pro analysis as well. And from then on, I'm going to be doing some more specific training videos regarding build patterns, regarding what you should be practicing, and how to do that. This has been more of like a general bird's eye view down onto what my process is and how I've been sort of engaging in it on a daily basis. And I'm looking forward to doing some VOD reviews of some of the players that I'm planning on coaching here in the next few days. I've gotten a lot of great feedback from players who are really interested in improving themselves, who are just so passionate about it, and I love it, and it fires me up. So please keep the comments coming, keep the messages coming. I want to keep coaching you guys, and I hope that we can all grow as individuals and as Fortnite players together. Thanks so much. I'll see you next time.